Imagine you're walking through a dark forest, and somewhere behind you a branch snaps. Your heart races, your hands go cold. Every instinct tells you to run. But here's the strange part. That fear, the one gripping your chest right now, isn't actually your biggest fear.
Not even close. There's something ancient humans feared more than a lion in the dark, more than starvation, more than death itself, being cast out. For most of human history, exclusion wasn't just painful. It was a death sentence, slower and crueler than any predator.
Think about it for a moment. Would you rather face a dangerous animal alone, or be surrounded by people who refuse to help you? Anthropologist Christopher Boehm spent decades studying small-scale hunter-gatherer societies, and what he found reshapes everything you think you know about ancient life. Early human groups weren't ruled by the strongest, most aggressive individual. They were governed by something Boehm called reverse dominance hierarchy. The group, collectively, held power over any single person who tried to seize too much control. If someone became too selfish, too violent, too dominant, the group didn't fight him one-on-one. They didn't need to. They simply stopped talking to him, stopped sharing food with him, stopped inviting him to the fire. And that was often enough to break a man far faster than any physical threat ever could. Why would silence be more powerful than violence? Because for nearly all of human evolution, survival was never a solo project. Your ancestors didn't outrun predators through sheer speed. They didn't outmuscle every threat. They survived because they cooperated, planned, and shared what little they had. A lone human, however strong and however fast, however clever, stood almost no chance against the ancient world. No spear, no fire, no warning system, no one to share the night watch. Anthropologist Kim Hill, who spent years living among the Ake people of Paraguay, documented just how deeply interconnected survival was. Food sharing wasn't generosity, it was insurance. Hunters who failed one day ate because of hunters who succeeded. Tomorrow, the roles might reverse. Exclusion shattered that insurance policy completely. Once you were cut off from the group, you lost access to food during a bad hunt. You lost eyes watching for danger while you slept. You lost hands to help carry an injured body back to camp. You became, in every sense, prey. This is why your brain still reacts to rejection, the way it reacts to physical pain. Neuroscientists have found that social rejection activates the same regions of the brain as a broken bone or a burn. Your body doesn't know the difference between being excluded from a group chat and being left outside the cave overnight in the freezing cold. Isn't that strange? A slight from a stranger online can trigger the exact same alarm system that once meant life or death. Robin Dunbar, the anthropologist famous for research on human social bonds, argued that our brains evolved specifically to track relationships, not dozens of them, not hundreds, roughly 150 meaningful connections. Enough to know who owed you a favor, who might betray you, who would defend you if a rival group attacked. That number, now known as Dunbar's number, wasn't chosen at random by evolution. It was the exact size of network your ancestors needed to survive. Lose your place in that network, and you didn't just lose friendships. You lost your entire safety system. So ancient communities built rituals specifically designed to prevent this outcome. Gossip, something modern culture treats as petty or shameful, actually served as an early warning system. It let people quietly monitor who was trustworthy and who wasn't, without ever needing violence. Shaming rituals, mocking songs, and public teasing gave communities a way to correct bad behavior, without permanently severing a person from the tribe. Full exile was almost always the last resort. It was reserved for the most extreme repeated offenses because everyone understood the brutal truth. Sending someone away wasn't just punishment, it was often a death sentence. Now here's the twist that changes everything you thought you understood. You'd assume the most feared threat in ancient life came from outside the group. A predator, a rival tribe, a natural disaster. But the data tells a different story. Boehm's research across dozens of foraging societies and found that the most consistent method of controlling harmful behavior wasn't punishment from an alpha figure. It was the threat of the group turning away. Even the most physically dominant man in the camp feared this. Strength meant nothing against isolation. This flips the modern assumption of survival of the fittest completely on its head. The fittest weren't the strongest individuals. They were the most socially embedded ones. Which raises an uncomfortable question about your own life today. When you feel that flash of anxiety before hitting,
Send on a text message. When you refresh your phone waiting for a reply. When you feel that quiet dread of being left on red. You are not overreacting. You are running software built over hundreds of thousands of years.
your brain doesn't know that being ignored in a group chat won't get you eaten by a predator tonight. It reacts the exact same way it did when isolation actually meant death. This is why social media platforms feel so powerful and sometimes so painful. They tap directly into a survival mechanism your ancestors relied on to stay alive, then place it inside a world where connection is often shallow, constant, and impossible to fully satisfy. Every notification, every like, every comment functions like a tiny signal from the tribe saying you still belong here, you are still safe. And every silence, every unanswered message, every unfollow, quietly whispers the opposite. This isn't weakness, it's ancient wiring, doing exactly what it evolved to do. Understanding this changes how you might treat the people around you. A moment of exclusion, even a small one, even one that feels harmless to you, can register in someone else's mind as something far more serious. Ancient communities understood the stakes of this instinctively. They knew that pulling someone back into the fold, forgiving a mistake, extending an invitation wasn't just kindness, it was survival. So the next time you feel that flicker of anxiety over being left out, remember where it came from. It wasn't built for group chats or comment sections. It was built for a world where being cast into the dark alone meant you might never see morning again. That branch snapping behind you in the forest was never the real danger. The real danger was always turning around and finding no one there.